Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In this segment, we will talk about some of the Quranic arguments which are utilized to prove that naked eye sighting is required by the Quran and by the lawgiver Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the outset, let me explain to you that there is nothing in the Quran which requires and specially categorically requires the naked eye sighting. Very often those verses of the Quran are misinterpreted and sometimes taken out of context to prove that somehow they require the naked eye sighting for the month of Ramadanul Mubarak. Let's take the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Some of the scholars, they try to explain the word shahida as the word shahada, which means that sighting. Or sometimes they explain that the word فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ means that whosoever sees the moon of Ramadanul Mubarak with his or her naked eye, that is the person who should be fasting. And believe me, in that context, there is nothing which can prove that the word shahida means sighting. Because the word shahida in the Quran has been utilized in three different meanings. First is shahida as hadara. That's where very often in the books of ahadith, in the books of tafsir, and sometimes in the books of history, we use the word that such and such person, such and such sahabi shahid al-badr, that this sahabi was present during the badr. Sometimes we say that such and such person shahid al-jum'ah, that that person was present during the Jummah prayer. And we are also told in the books of tafsir hadith that such and such year that person shahid al-hajj was present during the hajj of that year. So shahida in Arabic language means hadara, was present, that is connected with the physical presence of a person in something connected with history or with the time. The second meaning is alima, because when we are told that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alim, that is that he knows everything. And in the same context, the Quran uses the word shaheed, inna allaha ala kulli shay'in shaheed, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything inside out. And also we are told the third meaning is akhbara. When a person goes to the court, faqad akhbar al-hakim or akhbar al-qadi, that the person informed the qadi or the judge about whatever he has witnessed. So whether alima or akhbara or hadara, none of these three meaning they will ever have any implication of physical eye sighting. That's where there is a consensus of Muslim scholars, all the grammarians, philologists, and the Muslim exegetes or the mufassirin, that فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. In this verse of the Quran, in this verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, the word shahida means a hadara. فَمَنْ أَدْرَكَهُ حَادِرًا مُقِيمًا فَلْيَصُمْ. So the Quran says, the person who is present in the city and is not traveling, that is the person who is required to observe the fasting. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. So if a person is sick or is traveling, that person has to make up for the missed days. So in the Quranic context, you can never explain or interpret the word shahida as somebody who has physically sighted the moon. Because if that is the meaning given to the ayah, then only those people who will physically sight the new moon will be required to observe the fasting. Because then it will mean فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. So the person who sights the moon with his or her own naked eye sighting, then let that person fast. That will exclude everybody who has not sighted the new moon. So therefore, no scholar will ever say that the word shahida over here means actual sighting. Actually, in this ayah, there is no relevance to the eye sighting, and it is connected solely with the act of witnessing, being present in the town and not traveling or not being sick to make the act of obligation obligatory for a person. There is another verse of Surah Al-Baqarah also, which is very often quoted, that it requires the actual moon sighting. We are told by some of the scholars that the ayah يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ قُلْ هِيَ مَوَاقِيتُ لِلنَّاسِ وَالْحَجِّ, that this ayah which says that, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they ask you about the new moons. Qul, say ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hiya mawaqitu linnasi wal hajj, that the new moons are specified timing for people and timing for al-hajj. So in reality, in this ayah, there is nothing which is talking about the eye sighting of the new moon. The only thing it talks about is the new moons. That they ask you what is the reality or what is the nature of the new moon. So tell them, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they are connected with specified timings, that people get to know the timings from seeing the new moons, and they are connected with Hajj. Now all of us, we know that the Hajj moon sighting with naked eye sighting is not required to make the Hajj obligatory. At the same time, even the word hilal, which is very often used to require the moon sighting, does not require any act of moon sighting, because the word hilal is the new moon. And if you go back to the root word of the word hilal, it is from hallala yuhallilu. And halla sihab bil matar, or hallal al matar mataran, when we say that the cloud rained down or the rain gushed out of the clouds, this is what is the root word of the word halala. In sibab bishidda, when the rain starts in a very noisy fashion, then it is called halal sihab. Iza qatara qataran lahu sawt. Whenever the rain falls in such a fashion that it's noisy, it becomes very clear, then this is called halal al-matar. So the root word of the word hilal is not light. Hilal is connected with raf'i sawt. Whenever the noise is raised to let the people know that the new moon is there, the new month is there, that's where the new moon is called hilal.